And as we inch closer to the election, various organizations have called out government leaders on voter suppression about making it tougher for folks to vote. Those thoughts certainly on the minds of two reverends we spoke to tonight. Dr. Emmett Price and Reverend Irene Monroe discuss voter suppression on their All Rev'd Up podcast, and they break down why they're pushing their congregations to vote. Irene and Emmett, we really appreciate you joining us today. So you guys are basically running this thing. Y'all have All Rev'd Up podcast talking about a number of issues every week. And so one of the things that I heard this week was you talked about voter suppression. So why was it so important for you all to hold a conversation like this one at a time like this?
Well, okay.
Go on, Irene, go on.
Well, I was just going to say that one of the things that we try to, how we define our podcast is really that we look at faith at the intersection of politics and culture. And so it would really, and what we try to do, we try to challenge really what we would describe as hegemonic as well as heteronormative assumptions about Blackness. And while we are ministers, one of the things that ministers do is that, you know, if we were in our church, we function as church ministers in a different venue where of course we would talk about voter suppression. It's, you know, it started since 1619, you know, and people have to understand this, that the party that controls the vote controls the country, as well as if our votes didn't matter, why would they be trying to take it away from us?
You know, one of the things that we love, and we're both educators, so we're both ministers, we're also educators, and we're really involved in both philanthropy, but also just, you know, in the life of the city. And so it makes sense as we realize that so many people don't know the history. You know, no matter what ethnicity, no matter what nationality, there's so much history that's not taught. So we leverage our podcast to not only bless the people with a word of inspiration, a word of hope, but also to inform the people with information, with the hope that we can mobilize people to be good civically engaged participants in this democracy. And so,
yeah,
you know, go on.
No, I was going to say, and as you know, Brittany, you know, in church, we would be in our pulpits talking about the importance of voting, talking about how John Lewis gave his life to vote, you know, and how that you know 1965 Voting Rights Act was important then as it is now.
And what message do you all hope to send with that? I mean, you talk about this being a podcast that a number of folks are listening to, and when they heard that today or this week, are you talking about voter suppression? What message did you hope that sent to them?
Well, I think that the thing about voter suppression is it's part of our history, and history is not necessarily an indicator of the future. So the more that we know what has happened in the past, the more we can have a influential and opportunity to change it. We need to be the change that we desire to see rather than waiting for other people to swoop in and save us.
Right. And what we also are saying is that the power of the people, far greater than the people in power, and that we will, as I say, we will fight until hell freezes over, and then we will fight on the ice, because our vote is important in order to have an inclusive and participatory democracy. We are fighting for the existential life, not only of ourselves, but of this country.